We're going to get cracking in a moment, but before we do, this is an important announcement. The information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into account your personal situation. We don't guarantee the quality of the wine or the banter contained in this content. You should consider whether the information is appropriate for your needs and your daily intake. And where appropriate, seek professional advice from a financial advisor, accountant, bottle shop assistant, or relevant qualified professional. Matters referred to in this podcast are of general nature only, and for those of drinking age, and should not be relied upon in place of appropriate personal advice or the odd glass of wine on a Friday.
To make sure you get the most out of wealth, wine and wisdom, folks, please follow the house rules. Don't be a wallflower, get involved in the chat. We love to have some questions, feedback, and a little bit of commentary along the way. You give us energy, we'll have a good time. Make sure you pour yourself a glass of something wet to wet the whistle. Make sure you get the banter flowing as well. Doesn't matter what you're drinking, whether it's wine, our favourite, beer, coffee, maybe it's a cup of tea, water, or even juice. Keep the good energy flowing, folks. There's some house rules. If you don't put your name down, we don't know who you are, you're not coming in. Don't spam or advertise. This is our little game of cricket. This is all about debriefing the week, folks. What's going on out there in the world, and hopefully get you some sanity, maybe a bit of a chuckle at the end of the week, so we can all be on the same page and keep moving forward. Make sure you respect your fellow patrons, because we don't let any old muck in this place. And most of all, have some fun and enjoy this episode of Wealth, Wine and Wisdom.
Witten, happy Friday.
Centered. Happy Friday to you, my friend.
And
happy to everyone who's joining us. Yeah.
And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, as you jump into the chat and the chatter, you might want to wish Jason and Shay a very, very happy anniversary. The two lovebirds met 33 years ago, or
33.
33 years ago.
No, we met 33 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
So congratulations, mate. That's a good innings, and may it continue strong for the remainder of the heartbeats on this planet.
Thank you, my friend.
So, team, as you're logging on, say happy anniversary. Let us know where you're dialing in from as we get warmed up for the day. For those of you who don't know what Wealth and Wine and Wisdom is, welcome. It's great to have you here for the first time. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, this is really season 2. When COVID hit, well, fear went viral, but instead of echoing panic, we chose a different path here at Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, which was to bring facts, not fear, to the Australian business owners and investors, cutting through all the clickbait journalism that is just prolific at the moment and providing clarity and strategy and truth. Gosh, isn't truth an interesting word these days? And the results were extraordinary. You know, we helped save hundreds of businesses from bankruptcy during the COVID times, guided thousands of Australians through financial uncertainty, and empowered many to grow exponentially. While many froze in fear, our community thrived, which we're pretty damn proud of. Together, we helped people seize one of the most significant wealth creation opportunities in modern history. Now, as the next crisis looms, we're back. National debt soaring beyond $1 trillion here in Australia. Tax reforms under a probable 10-year Labor government threaten the very foundations of wealth building. The housing crisis, well, they haven't done anything to fix that, so let's have a little bit of a talk about that. And one of the most significant wealth transfers in history is about to happen. The $1 trillion wealth transfer coming your way. Yep. This isn't just economic turbulence. It's a complete reshaping of the financial future. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom's your compass, your strategy room, hopefully your unfair advantage. This is your exit plan evolution, the next chapter in helping Australians not just navigate, but capitalise on chaos. We'll decode political policy forecasts, making shifts. Jason will no doubt make 1,000,001 claims on where the future is going to be, and he's been right on most of them so far. So listen up. This is what we've got to say. Let's decant the week and have a little bit of fun. And welcome to everybody here. This is Wealth, Wine and Wisdom. Mate, what's been happening in your world other than...
I feel like I needed a drum roll then or something. Fenton, you were doing great. Fantastic, mate. Good to hang out with you again on a Friday. We're getting our mojo back on. Yeah, I love the afternoons on a Friday. Get to share what we've noticed during the week, and it's great to have everyone back on the live stream again this week. So big hello to all of you. There's been a truckload on in the comments, so keep the comments flowing. Now, listen, a quick little PSA update, Andy, and for everyone listening in. If you're on Facebook, the other week, a good friend of mine was putting some stuff in the comments, and he thought I was ignoring him. If you're on Facebook, sadly, some of the comments don't come through. So if you're on my personal Facebook or Andy's personal Facebook, then the comments won't come through on the live stream. So pop over to our Positive Real Estate or Positive Mentor YouTube, and they come through. Anyway, that's a little quick chat. But Fenton, as always, there's plenty going on out in the world of property investing, business, and the market. And certainly we like the idea of taking a little look at what has been happening during the week. What should we kick off with this week, you reckon?
Just before we go, I reckon we'll do a little bit of a market update. But here, this was one of the reasons why we didn't keep doing Wealth, Wine and Wisdom is it was hurting our liver. And so this little device here, and it looks like a fairly wild little contraption. They're called Coravan. We should ask them to sponsor us.
Yes.
This is allowing us. Well, this is a cracker, an absolute cracker bottle of wine, which normally I wouldn't open. But with this little sucker, it's meant to be able to keep it pretty much in the same condition for months, per se years. So a good way of only having one glass of wine, so we don't get too loose and stay on track.
We shall see. I'm drinking the Levantine Hill from your neck of the woods, the Yarra Valley.
That's a lovely drop.
Not a bad drop, Fenton. So shout out to those winemakers. Let us know what you're up to for your drink this afternoon, folks. You might be sticking to the non-alcoholic, or you might be having a wine or two as well. So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. D knows what's up. It is a beautiful bottle of wine, D. So, and the beauty is, I don't have to share it with anyone. It's amazing. I can have it with you guys, or sharing it with all of you right now. So, team, why don't we?
Sonia doesn't understand. How can you just drink one glass of wine? That just doesn't make any sense. I'm with you, Sonia. Anyway,
I think it's got something to do with longevity.
Well, there you go. Well, what's in your neck of the woods, mate? Let's do. We thought we'd do a few things as we come back for Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks. A little bit of market update from Andy and myself. We got some commentary coming your way about some things the number one menace is up to. Put it in the chat as we wrap it on. Who's the number one menace? You guys know the drill. The number one menace, absolutely out and about and causing all sorts of ruckus at the moment. But Andy, should we kick off with a bit of a market update? You want to do the honours?
100%. Let's jump into it, because team, most of the time when we have our market updates on the news, you see what's happening daily, right? And ultimately, I don't know, for most of you, if you try and invest on a daily basis, we call, or Jason calls them good time Charlies. I call them temporary citizens. Because if you're literally investing for 1 or 2 days or a year, you're generally going to fall off the edge of a cliff, right? So it's about taking long-term views. But unfortunately, long-term views don't really sell newspapers or advertisements on the news. But let's have a look just what's happening around in the world. So instead of giving you the daily update, we're going to give you something that's actually reasonable and tangible, which is we're going to look at monthly updates, month to month, yearly, and 5 years. So what do I mean? We're going to look at performance returns of different indexes and have a little bit of fun with it. Over 1 month, what did it do in the last 30 days? What did it do in the last year? And what did it do over the last 5 years? So, team, those of you who have been invested in Australian equities, it's been a good month, 2.68 up for the month. For the year, it's 14.8% up for the year, the ASX 200. And over the last 5 years...
That's not a bad combined return. Yeah.
It's not a bad... well, this is all up. This isn't compounding, but over the last 5 years, you would have done 46% total return. So that's ASX 200. What is it? It's the top 200 companies in Australia by market capitalization.
Yeah.
The same thing over in the US, which is our friends across the ditch that are doing all sorts of stuff. Well, it's not across the ditch. It's over the other side of the world, isn't it? the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the US, listed 500 companies in the US. So in the last month, you've done 1.8%. Last year, you've done just short of 20%. And over the last 5 years, you've done 89%. So
some good numbers, Fenton. Them some good numbers. Yeah.
But you know what? We've been talking about tech, and one of our sort of opinions that we believe is that everyone should have a big exposure to technology because
Absolutely,
that's where the world's going to go. So I've ripped a couple of technology indexes out here. So the NASDAQ 100 is effectively the US market, but it strips out all of the financial stocks, and it's the top 100 non-financial stocks. Now, most of those stocks are tech companies, right? So this is almost like a tech index. So over the last month, you would have done 3%. Over the last year, 27%. Over the last 5 years, you've done 109% in the NASDAQ 100. And our old favorite, which we used to talk about a bit, which was the FANG. And the FANG index, ladies and gentlemen, is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Of course, Google's listed name isn't Google, it's Alphabet. But so those companies, there's an index that tracks the performance of those companies. And this is where it starts to get a bit wild. 2.4% for the year. 2.4% for the month, 43% for the year, and 157% over 5 years. And now, for all of our tin hat wearers and conspiracy theorists, digital gold, which we talked about many years ago during the middle of COVID. Mate, if people actually listened to us at that point in time and opened up their wallets, meaning their digital wallets, this is what they'd be looking at. 8% in the last month, 106% over the last year, and 988% over the last 5 years.
Crazy returns.
But
one of my faves there, Tesla.
Tesla. Now, the reason why I brought Tesla up, and we'll bring a couple of like fatty stocks in, because I was chatting with somebody yesterday. It might have been a taxi driver, and they said, "Oh no, Tesla's screwed. I wouldn't invest in Tesla." And they get a bad name because of all this stuff that's happening with Trump and yada yada yada. And yes, there's been some volatility, but Tesla in the last month, 8%, 62% for the year, 232% over the last 5 years. Not too shabby, my friend, for an investment in a single company. And ultimately, when you start to go, well, what's the truth behind these statements, and what's the impact that the whole Trump thing has had when it comes to Musk? Well, ultimately, it's impacted, but Tesla is still going very, very, very strong. So things are good overall. And the reason why we want to bring you this is to be able to look at returns over the periods of times that you invest, not the daily drama and the price movement on a day-to-day basis, which effectively means nothing. So, mate, that's a little bit of what's going on in my world. What's happening in the property world?
Well, I tell you what, those returns are pretty impressive, that's for sure, Andy, folks. But we've reached an almost pretty critical milestone. The average Australian house dwelling price reaches $1 million. Now, there's depends on how you do the average and the median, but across whichever way you measure the damn thing, it's expensive. If you didn't already know, out there, and the quarterly change for capital growth is not too bad when it comes to the real estate market. Certainly not as heady heights of 700% XRP digital gold. I love it, Jeff. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. That's a pretty big returns. I'm happy for you, man. That's good news. Make sure you take a few dollars off the table as you get in there. I always say when you invest in those sorts of things that are reasonably accelerated and maybe volatile, if you could get your capital that you put in back off the table ASAP, your return, once you've got your cash back from your capital, is then infinite, Andy, and the risk is zero.
Yes.
So that's what I always say. Like, it's an interesting one, how I sort of structure. So my property investing, once I've got my deposit returned, I take the deposit out of the property, I put it back in my bank account, and that property now is standalone. 100%, every single dollar that goes up is now an infinite return because I have $0 in that property. So that's the way I look at it. But those returns are fantastic, Jeff. The property market, slow and steady wins the race, certainly when it comes to the Australian property market. But the little cheeky one that's sort of popping up there, Andy, that a few people were saying some pretty average things about. Bad rap. Old Melbourne certainly gets a bad rap because of the political attitude down there. However, don't start you. It's a still pretty good quarterly change. Still pretty good. Melbourne still in investing terms quite affordable when it comes to property investments, and I think the top end really pushes the median as well when you have a little look at that. So depending on how you look at the average or the median, the average price in Victoria is still a little bit lower than the other big fours. So it's still a place to look at. But Sydney posting 2% plus. Perth, Hobart. I still don't understand Hobart. What the hell's going on down there? It's a retiree. There's no economy there other than people retiring, and there's nothing to buy, and that's where. Anyway, I won't even. Good on you, Hobart.
Well done.
I'm glad you're fighting.
Yeah, won't be going there anytime soon.
Anyway, there you go.
Just by the by, certainly not in winter.
No, that's good. Well, there you go, Jeff. Happy days, mate. Endless upside now when it comes to dollars and cents because Jeff took his capital out, and it's only up there. So I love that. That's a great investing story. Now, rental inflation, Andy. So we've got two parts of the pie here in the property market. Capital growth still going along quite strongly. We'll talk about why it's going to continue in a minute. But folks, the rental pressure is slowing. Andy, why is it slowing? Folks in the chat, why is it slowing? Now, it's not because supply is coming back, Andy. Anyway, while you're there, folks, maybe chuck it in the chat. Why do you think rental growth is slowing? Folks, put that in the chat because it is slowing. And so we're sort of settling in at this moment in time at about 4% rental growth, but we were in some circumstances going 10, 12, even 20% in some states, or some locations, some of the cities as we're going along. So, that's, but, 4%, 5% rent growth over time is Cass is on there. Cash should know affordability. That is for sure. What is happening now, Andy, and folks listening in, the average wage is not keeping up with the pressure. So I was gonna hold a little quiz, but I think I gave the answer right. Maybe I don't think
anyone was quick enough to see that one.
All right, I'm going to flip over that one there. But look at this. National vacancy rates, folks, plummeted here down to 1.2%. Now, for decades, right, close to 2% on average was about an even marketplace, Andy. Even marketplace, folks. And we are down at 1%. So it is 50% down. It's got to go 100% back up. I don't know what the numbers are in math, but it's a long way down, folks. It's a long way down.
50 Jeff down, it is 100 up, mate. That's 100% right.
Yep. And so what we have right now is serious pressure on rents. They're not going up as fast because people just don't have spare cash, Andy. Like, cost of living, et cetera. The rents have just squeezed the average renter's pocket, and we're getting to a point where unless the government does something or the banks do something to unlock some relief somewhere, I think the rent growth will slow. All right, so that's my call for you guys. Now, that's not a big deal. 4 or 5% a year is not a big deal. It's probably a couple of points above inflation, which is handy. Plus your capital growth, plus your tax deductions, you're still getting a good, gross, net a gross return on your property deal. So I like that. So vacancy rates are low. But here's the other thing that we got to keep a quick look on in the market: the number of listings down, right? And they're staying down. They're not coming back up. So there's no point. At no point can I see, folks, that the supply chain is going to bring any of these, any relief back to the rental market. That's not coming. And Jeff, mate, absolutely, there was low immigration. However, it's still more than the supply, which is, so
it's literally more people are coming into the country than houses are being built, and we're done.
I tell you what, it's a joke. It's a joke, folks. There they go. Oh, Mick, looking forward to seeing you, mate, in October. If you haven't already, folks, make sure you book in for Exit Plan in October. And if you don't know what Exit Plan is, well, reach out. We'll let you know. So, Corey, good to see you, mate. But listen, weekly rental listings down. So that means the stock in the marketplace down a long way. Again, probably close to 50% down. And total property listings for sale, Andy, is down about a third as well. So, maybe even 40%. So that's maybe your market update.
Buy well, never sell.
Well, I think the challenge is too. I don't know if you were looking around just recently to find something to move to. There wasn't a lot that you were inspired to sell where you were and move, right? And that's a common story with a lot of people. They're going, yeah, okay. Usually what happens is that they'll sell one and there's plenty to move to, and there's just not enough stock on the market for people to motivate to be moving. Or, like you and I have done, you calculate the damn stamp duty price, Andy. It's ludicrous. The changeover cost of buying a property can sometimes be pretty prohibitive, I can tell you. So
and these Muppets think by taxing it more, it's going to bring more properties to the market. I mean, talk about counterintuitive.
It's not going to bring more properties to the market. There you go. Strategically sell, Nigel. Well yeah. Look at Fenton smiling now, Nigel. He loves it. He loves it. Well, So that's the quick sort of market update from me. There's no relief in sight, Andy. There's no relief in sight, folks, when it comes to the property supply. There's still plenty of tightness in the rental market. Now, there's ebb and flow depending on where you are, but in general, the property market's tight. Cass is on tonight as well. Cass runs Positive's property management team across the eastern coast of Australia. So if you need an expert, reach out to Cass. And but yeah, there you are, Andy. Bit of an update. There's pressures on the market. Yeah, look at this. Courtney just moved. I mean, Gold Coast is ludicrous, like insanely ludicrous. Courtney moved 40 applications for one rental. That stuff is just mind blowing. It's just loony.
You should have seen the BS on the news too, Jace. I wish I had the article now. It was talking about how that market was just totally inflated and it was about to get crushed by supply. Like holy smoke!
What, the Gold Coast?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't build anything. It's like anyway. One quick thing, folks, while you're listening in. Out of the 4 types of property types, you've got an office, you've got residential, you've got industrial, and you've got farming. 4 types of property investing: office, residential, industrial, farming. What land type has grown the most in the last 20 years? Put that in the chat.
Whack it in the chat.
Whack it in the chat. Office, residential, industrial, farming. Put it in the chat. Yeah, absolutely and wild, Courtney. Indeed.
Just while they're putting it in the chat, Jace, a little anecdote on this, because people say, well, prices can't still go up, and I think we've talked about this before. Like I lived over in Europe, New York, and what happens is that the yield doesn't always chase yield doesn't always chase, right? Capital growth can exceed it. And what I mean by that is you can't buy in centre London at the moment, or maybe you'll be able to soon. I'll show you some stuff a little bit later on, or in mid Manhattan, like it costs an absolute fortune for a shoebox, and the rents are only a minuscule proportion of that value. And this is what happens when you end up with, it was density over there, right? And ultimately to get into the market just kept on going up and up and up and up. But then density needed to change. So houses went from 4-bedroom houses to 3 lots of 4-bedroom units. The density increased.
Well, density, and also, Andy, sharing with people. You go to New York, there might be 4 people who live in a 2-bedroom apartment. And they share so this is the thing. At the end of the day, the process changes. We change, people change, but everyone's onto it though. For Andy, everyone got
which one was it?
Well, I think who was first? But they got it pretty quick. Mick got it first, farming. But yeah, Nigel was on it. Tash was on it. All on the farmland. So it's interesting,
Geez, everyone got it.
good quality dirt, folks, makes it work. So it's interesting. We work with a lot of farmers, and they're the richest poor people we know, very sadly. They're not treated very well often when it comes to their leverage of their assets. So Andy and I have been helping them unlock a little bit of that in a smart way. So this is the thing. This is, Andy, like you were just touching on something a moment ago. Capital growth can unlock from the rental yield. And this is what happens when you invest for rental yield. Residential in the bottom end of town kind of does okay, but once it grows, once it ends up being like a capital growth asset rather than a yield asset, the yield is rubbish. It's terrible. But the growth often, if it's located well and it's got some land content and so on, it's pretty good. So you've got to be careful of like what you're trying to get. What Shay and I are doing with our portfolio now is looking at, changing a few of our residentials for commercial as we go forward, just to bump the yield a little bit. Our yield
income. Yep.
For the income, which is something that's worth having a look at. Yeah. Land was so cheap a little while ago, wasn't it, when it comes to land, but farmland. But yeah, it did a big sort of, was running behind, and then it just boomed in the last sort of 7-8 years. Yeah. Yep,
absolutely.
Took off
like a rocket.
Yep.
But that doesn't help when you're getting fire levies and all sorts of archaic taxes put on you. Like, they're doing it tough, the farmers, just from drought conditions. And then the good old pollies decide, well, while you're down, the good old Australian thing to do in politics is kick a man while they're down and
give you a kick. Yeah, it's pretty rude.
Wild stuff. Like, did you know that they're actually passing policies for the green energy now, that the farmers have to leave gates open, otherwise they get fined for government officials to go into the wind farms and things like this, and they can't avoid it. So they're copying it from all angles, the poor farmers.
Well, we've got a few strategies for them, Andy. So I'm looking forward to working with a few of them. But that's it from me. Market update done and dusted. But listen, what's going on? Let's do a little bit of a change gears here. What's going on in the market, or not necessarily the market, but have we got a bit of menace feedback? Maybe I'll put that on the agenda, and you can come back after this.
All right, who's the number one menace today?
Who's on the agenda?
Let me get my slide up. So, look, I do have to make it a little bit of an apology from last week, where I likened Jim Chalmers to the gopher from Caddyshack. But it did actually get me wondering, because with some of the stuff that they're doing in politics at the moment, like taxing the economy to death in order to be able to be productive, is so counterintuitive. So when I did see this, I did think, Jesus, I wouldn't mind smoking what they're smoking, because clearly they're having a good old time over there. But I did see this one policy where I'm like, okay, maybe what they're smoking is starting to have an effect, because one of the policies where I actually looked at it and thought, hey, there's a lot of opportunity in this, and this goes to the menace later on. But ultimately, legalizing cannabis and then taxing the living daylights out of it, smoking the tax, as the chipmunks say, or the gophers say, actually quite a smart idea. You and I were chatting about it earlier on, Jay. You educated me on this, that California was actually a broke state.
Yeah,
a broke state, and then they legalized cannabis. And ultimately, they pulled themselves out of bankruptcy, which is quite incredible.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
I do caution Australians to get too carried away with this, because unfortunately, the way that our politicians work is that if they start to make more money like this, they'll start smoking it and spending it more aggressively than ever, and before you know it, there'll probably be heroin, cocaine, and ice that's legalized as well. But let's just say, out of all the initiatives so far, they must be smoking a bit of it to come up with it. But I reckon it's actually not quite a bad one. But let's have a look at what they're really doing. And I did a bit of a video, which I'll post out on socials later on over the weekend.
Yeah.
And, this idea of taxing Australia heavily in order to be able to pay back the debt is just dumb. Like, that's why I put the T-shirt here. I do dumb things. Taxing a country in order to pay back debt is dumb. As a business owner, Jace, do you if you've got to pay a debt, right? Do you slow things down, or do you try and ramp up growth and productivity? Like, what do? You spend money, on advertising. Get more dollars
how
in the
long?
bank.
I mean, everyone on the call today is a business owner or a property investor, or a combination of both. How long, folks? How long do you think you would last in business or in investing if you treated money like the government treat money? Hang on, I've run out of money. I don't need to operate at a profit. I don't need to operate with budgets. I don't need to be accountable to the money I spend. And then what? When I fuck it up, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pass on that fuck up to you, the taxpayer. Then I will keep my job, but you know what? You're going to pay for it. How's that bullshit? Oh my Lord. Yeah, not long indeed, Gabrielle. Yeah, it won't happen. Yep.
When we're young, it's the bank of mum and dad, right? You screw up and hopefully you've got the bank of mum and dad. Now the government's going, well, it's the bank of mum and dad again, because it's mums and dads who are making the money. So let's tax it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Like you tax things too far. Jimmy's saying here, you tax things too far and then they go black market underground. Like people will do things anyway, get there, whatever it is. Like it's just crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
100%. And look, in Victoria, we've had some significant crime in Victoria on the back of high cigarette prices. We've had literally there's a mafia in Victoria, and I think it's now all around Australia. They're making a fortune off illegal cigarettes, and it's a byproduct that the crime comes from high tax. That's where the crime comes from. High tax created significant crime.
High cost of living, right? High tax, high cost of living. And
high crime.
It goes under. Yeah, high crime.
They're absolutely linked.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's have a look.
What's going on in the UK? Because folks, Andy and I were talking about this. We were talking about we're talking about this idea as Australians. What do we look at? We're looking at canaries in the coal mine. What are other economies like ours? And I'm not going to talk about today in detail, but I'll talk about New Zealand for property next. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom. But Andy, what's going on in the UK is like a canary in the coal mine for us in Australia.
100%, Len. Canary in the coal mine. It's a forward warning, right? And Churchill, who said, "Those who don't read history books are bound to repeat it." Well, we can just look back, a year and see what's happening. So they've had similar policies in the UK. They're taxing the eyeballs out of industry, and as a result, we can see here 3,790 company directors are reported to have left the UK in the last 10 months. That's in comparison to a number of about 1,000 less for the same period the previous year. And just recently, it's gone up to 691 in the month of April alone, which is 79% up from last year and 104% up from the previous year. So capital and people and businesses, because company directors, ladies and gents, it doesn't mean that the company doesn't exist anymore. It means that they're moving that company offshore. And so, when we get stuck as business owners and when we have problems and tax is a problem, we look to try and solve that problem. And unfortunately, what's happening, and you can see this, this is called the millionaire migration.
Millionaire migration, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So this is another way of saying the same thing. We can see here that the green is where millionaires are entering the country, and the red is where they're leaving. Now, the UK, for its size in comparison to everybody else, I mean, China's a couple of billion and they're only at 15,000, right? UK is nowhere near that size, and they've got 9,500 that left in 2024. And then you look at the people who are picking them up: United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Australia, probably only because we've got a great place to live, but we're sacrificing that with what we're doing. Switzerland picking up a lot. If we have a look at some of the best sort of best countries as far as imports are going at the moment, it's the United Arab Emirates. The US has still got net in as far as millionaires are concerned. Italy, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, Singapore. Greece, funnily enough, maybe they're just joining the Greeks and going, look, we'll move to Greece and we'll never pay the debt back.
Well, that's right. They're taking their debt and go, mate. I'm now a Grecian. Is that what you're called? Are you called Italian? No. What are you called if you're Greece? A Greek.
A Grecian.
Yeah. Hey,
I love it.
Grecian. Oh.
I like it. We'll call them a Grecian from now on. That's the way.
And Brad's onto it. Like, this is the thing. Like, they won't come here for long if they land here, and then we've got these loony politicians starting to tax everyone for nothing. Yep.
Well, this trend
for moving to Italy. Yeah, Gabrielle.
Yeah. What is Pipiaci molto? They've got some great wine over there too. A nice Barolo. There.
Well, we might need to do a wealth, wine, and wisdom from there.
We might need to get Giacomo and Omar and get the boys from Cozzy and do a little bit of an Italian trip. As a matter of fact, they're doing that next year. They're doing a wine tour. Anyway, UK, this is a forward warning for us in Australia, because if we allow the government to continue to tax, this is going to happen as well. It's never been easier to port your business into a different place. And they're already trying to find rules in order to be able to stop that taxation. But you will see money fly out of Australia. It's happened before when they started to try and tax big companies, and they just moved offshore. And if you listen to Kerry Packer's House of Reps inquiry back in 1991, he said,
Andy? 1991, back in the day.
Back in the day, he said, we are doing business with people offshore, and they're saying, you can't work with Australians. It's just not possible, because they keep changing the laws and the goalposts. And every time you take you change the law, you take somebody's rights away. And the people that are losing, whose wealth that you're pissing up at the wall, don't thank you for it. Nothing's changed. We've just gotten worse at it. And now we've got to be very, very careful, because if we turn into the UK, we will become the poor labour source for probably the east coast of Australia, which will become a Florida destination for people around the world.
Yep.
So, mate, that's the number one menace in my world at the moment. And, mate, they are running thick and fast, and don't have any signs of slowing down. And let me just quickly share something here, Andy, like just on the back of that, because this is like, I think this is interesting on the back of your conversation, which is, the Australian birth rate is down, right? So at the end of the day, like, if we think about what you just said, all right, we want to attract people to this country. Because you have to. Now, we've got immigration. Now, we want high quality immigration. We want financially valuable immigration. And our we've got some of our lowest, birth rates on record going on. So, for all of us as if we're going to compete in the world market, we need to be on that, right? That's irony for you. Like today with Tinder, you would have thought birth rates would have been through the roof, wouldn't you? It's never been easier to jump online and meet someone. But wow.
Well, mate, we go a left-hand turn on this one, but young people are having less
generation aren't keeping their end up, so to speak.
No, they're not. They're having less sex than our father's generation, our fathers and mothers' generation, on average.
Sex.
Yep, less sex. This is the funny thing. But there's anyway, we could turn left and talk about this one, but we're going to stay straight today, Brendan.
Well, I think I want to know why the hump in Australia isn't happening.
Yeah, indeed. Well, there you go. But anyway, this will turn you off sex. Tell us about Chalmers.
So the gopher went to a productivity summit, which is kind of an ironic term for government officials attending.
Productivity summit.
Lack of productivity summit.
Yeah.
I love this. This was a great article, and this is worth a read, right? Because top directors sat around a table with Chalmers and said, "Ditch tax and
Company
focus on
directors,
growth." Yeah. So
Yeah.
it had the CEO of Macquarie. Don't quote me. Read the article, but I'm pretty sure it was CEO of Macquarie, BHP, Santos. So you had finance, you had oil and gas represented. You had some really big hitters there, right? The top dogs of Australian companies, and ultimately gave them a rail rating. It's basically saying, listen, if you tax this country to its eyeballs, you will cripple the country. But
Mate.
Be bold. And this is what I like. So there was a quote, and I don't know who it was from. Be bold, create growth policies, right? Stop taxing, look at forward growth. And look, that's the reality. If we don't do this, if they don't do this, there is no way we get out of this hole. We don't, not for the next 20 years.
Well, I can tell you what, if these arseholes didn't like jam me for payroll tax, I pay $500,000 a year in payroll tax, right? I could hire 6 to 10 more people. You'd still get the tax back, you bloody wankers, right?
Well, yeah,
they would then flow on. They'd buy houses and whatever. But you pricks are you're just pissing it up the wall. It drives me insane. Like, what do I get for that shit? It's bullshit, right?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's lunacy. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately,
we don't have any bold politicians. They're not painting a picture for the future of the country. They're worried about being re-elected. And they go, oh, we need to pay back the debt. Well, you know what? For fuck's sake, you guys created it in the first place, and now you're jamming us, right? Like, no one said, yeah, sign us up for more debt so you can tax us later. That it just grinds my gears, that one, Andy. Yeah, well, there you go.
They're definitely smoking the tax joint, Jace. So we were chatting about some stuff that I want to hear about from you, because taxes don't always hit you in the face like income tax.
Well, they don't call it a tax, Andy, do they?
Well, yes, of course. Why would they call it what it is? But I was shocked. So I'd love for you to share what we talked about. I think it was yesterday.
It was
about some really hidden taxes that have just blown my mind. And from my perspective, I say it's unscrupulous. It's anti-innovation and potentially, crippling in many different ways. So, mate, what's happening over in your neck of the woods? Because I think that people need to hear this.
Well, here's a tax, Andy. That's not a tax. It's a levy. Folks, it's a levy. It's not a tax. Yeah. It's not a tax, Andy. It's a levy. No. It's a levy. No. But, anyone who knows what's going on, it's a damn freaking tax, folks. It's going to the governments. It's a tax. You can try and make up a fancy name for it, but it's a tax. Now, there's, short-term letting for people. Victoria is now leading the way in certain things, Andy, and not the things that you bloody Victorians want your state to lead in. The most taxed state in Australia, sadly, and it relies a lot on property taxes. But listen, here's the drill: a levy. See how here we go. There's their word, like levy. Yeah, it's not a tax, Andy. It's a levy.
It's a levy.
It's a levy. Right. Well, anyway, it's just with another name, for crying out loud. 0.5%, 5% levy on short stay accommodation platforms. This is an interesting thing, though. This is crazy, right?
7.5% levy.
Yep.
Holy shit.
On short stay, right? So it was announced so we can improve housing affordability and build 800,000 homes. So here's the drill. They fucked it up. Total, complete, absolute clusterfuck of delivering stock to the market. They're like, oh, that's it. You know what? We'll put a levy on people so we can make you cover and pay for the fuck up. The rich people should do it, not the government. Don't make us take any less pay or any less friggin' benefits or not be able to hold on to our job because we fucked it up. No. We'll just pass a levy onto people who are actually making some money. Yep, arseholes. But anyway, there you go. Canberra's in on it too. Canberra's in on it too. They're having a crack at 5%. There's a couple of other states. Hobart's considering it as well. But what's really happened, folks, so the state governments are getting in on this one. And the ones that don't have such a bad debt, the Western Australian government's like, yeah, we'll make you register because we want to know who's got what, who's got short-term lending. I get it. It's a gateway to charging you later, but they're not charging anyone. But this is the thing; it's crazy, right? So, not only does the national government charge you on the income that you earn from an Airbnb property, Andy, now the state government's got a handout for a levy, right, which is a tax on a tax, for crying out loud. Folks, it's a tax on a tax. You've already paid tax on that money. Now they want to tax you on the money you've already paid tax on. Bullshit. And get this. This is the interesting thing, Andy, which is this is what happens. From the 1st of Jan 2025, all right, it includes the cost of the stay, GST. That's a tax already. So you're going to pay a levy on GST. It's a tax on a tax, folks. It's a tax on a tax on a tax. There's no other way to fucking say it, but they've said it another way. And cleaning fees as well. And Andy, it's not your net, right? This is the bullshit. It's not your net profit. It's not like after your running costs. It's not after your debt. This is the lunatic. Like,
well, no, that's income tax.
It's like, oh, fuck. You can't even offset your costs against the 7.5%, right? It's not, oh, well, my net result was X. It's straight off the top, folks. Off the top. And guess who they're making? Guess who they're making collect it? Folks, guess who they're making collect it?
No.
They're making the platforms, Airbnb, collect it and remit it.
Oh, that's probably the only smart thing about it. Isn't it? It's the only smart thing about it. Listen,
Airbnb, you guys are going to collect it and you're going to remit it, and quarterly as well. If you're doing all right, if you collect more than 75 grand, let's say, because I've got a bunch of clients, I've got a number of clients who've got 6 or 7 properties, and they did really well, right? 300-400 grand a year in revenue. Now what happens is the government reaches in quarterly into Airbnb and takes their 7.5% out, plus the GST, plus your taxes, plus the rates, fucking plus, pricks. Anyway, there you go. That's what's going on, Andy.
It's like walking into buying a car, isn't it? Oh, do you want the midnight pack? Do you want the stereo pack? Do you want the wheels? Of course, I want the bloody wheels. Yeah, it's absolutely. And here's the thing, Jace.
I'm with you, Steve. Don't re-elect them, Andy. I don't know. We still haven't cracked this code. How did the Victorians re-elect the worst government in history? Anyway,
no idea. No idea. Probably lack of a better choice, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true. There was pretty shit choices the other way. Yeah. Anyway,
2 things. Number one, how the hell is that going to produce more real estate?
It's not going to produce any more real estate.
It's just paying more tax, and there have been taxes, and I can't remember them. I'll talk about it next week, actually. But there are specific taxes that were designed that had to go to the purpose of what the tax was for. Right?
If that was the case, and you were accounted for, you're like, okay, at least I know what I'm getting, right?
Yeah, it was Medicare. Yeah. Medicare levy was at one point mandated to go into the medical system. They removed that mandate now. So now the Medicare levy doesn't have to support the medical system at all, and probably doesn't. So cents in the dollar of that actually end up in the medical system, even though it's a medical tax. Right?
And that's for the politicians to have interest-free loans or tax-free loans to pay their
their tax. They get low interest, unsecured loans for them to pay their tax bills, and probably never will. Right? But number 2, though, Jace, is there's a thing, because obviously I've been in international investments and international markets before, and so when you deal with investments offshore, there is a specific thing. It's called the double taxation treaties. Right now, we have about 47 of those globally.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the whole premise of it, right? The whole premise of it, and I'll read this. The purpose of double taxation agreement is to prevent the same income from being taxed twice, once in Australia and once in another country when it flows across borders. The purpose is to avoid double taxation, ensuring taxpayers aren't taxed twice on the same income, prevent tax evasion, promote trade and investment, allocate blah, blah, blah. Now, we have this treaty that was designed back in 1940 or something like that, right? And now we're actually creating double taxation in Australia. And the reason why it's allowed to happen is because it's called a levy, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not allowed.
A duty, a levy, what else? A rate. Like what other names are they coming up with it, folks? Put it in the chat. Let's expose these bastards. Right?
I've got
a
it.
Duty,
And
a levy, a
whack,
rate.
whack it in the chat. And this is as at the beginning of this calendar year. Whack it in the chat, team. How many different types of taxes do you think that we have here in Australia?
While everyone's coming with that, how many taxes? How many taxes have we got in Australia? Because I'll finish that bit with the short-term letting. Actually, the Victorian state government passed a law, and it's a tariff. Yeah, that's a good one, tariff shades. They passed the law, and most of the states have implemented as well. A body corporate can ban short-term letting in a building if they get 75% more of the voting rights. A local council is actually charging another fee on top. So the state government charges a fee, the local council charges a fee, $300. And then the building manager, if you're in a multi-strata building, can ban it or charge you extra maintenance. It's like lunacy. Anyway, far too many, David. Yep, there we go. 401, Jeff reckons.
401, that's a very specific number. Gabe reckons about 60. I'm with you, David, 100%.
Far too many.
Far too many.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I got this from the Productivity Commission report by the government. So the government looking at itself and its productivity, and then identified that it had too many taxes. This was in their own report. 127 types of taxes. Excises are the other ones. That's another one.
Excise. It comes up. Have you seen those videos on YouTube? Oh, Andy. Now, we've got to tax some people, but we need another name.
Call it a donation. Oh,
no, donation. Yeah. That's funny.
Leak says 404 can't be found. And look, that number's going to skyrocket with all of the things that are happening. And ultimately, team, the reason why we're bringing this to your attention is that we want to make sure that you know where these taxes are, so that you can start to figure out how to position yourselves to minimize the impact on you. And that's really one of the keys of the kingdom. And ultimately, we can't stop these lunatics from doing what they're doing, and we don't agree with their policies.
They're always going to do weird stuff, right? But you've got to be ahead of it, Andy, and then you've got to do something about it. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's probably not a bad time to whack this up. So if you guys are there and you want to listen to some of the strategies to be able to manage this as business owners or as investors, more than welcome to come along, hang out with me at the Freedom Machine, spend about an hour and a half chatting about different strategies to be able to manage these things. If you want, just scan the QR code there and you can come along, hang out for 90 minutes with us, and we can strategize around how to navigate these things. And we've got a little bit of time left tonight, might go through a little bit of a teach piece, but we may not have time. But ultimately, the reason why we're rabbiting on about it is, firstly, last week we talked about land tax for people who work from home, business owners who work from home. Land tax.
And it's a double up, isn't it? Like, so, because if you get caught with Airbnb, you got 30 grand, and then you've got then you got land tax. So you got land tax, you got the Airbnb tax, you're already paying rates on your home. Like, it's a joke.
They're going to need extra line items in the tax returns, and there's already too many.
I didn't even know how they're going to track it, but that's crazy. That's crazy. I did hear, actually, I saw a case, a tax law case, as you do, that the ATO has actually cracked, was able to get into someone's WhatsApp and pull all the WhatsApp chats. Yeah, it's not protected, and they lost their case in the ATO. They were trying to illegally avoid tax. That's not what I'm saying. But the ATO got into the WhatsApp, so there you go.
Holy
Interesting.
smoke.
Yep, holy smoke indeed.
Well, they are
Listen.
doing a lot of data matching
Yes.
using AI.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
for those of you who don't know, in the most recent budget, the government got about $1 billion, maybe $1.5 billion allocated to them. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it was a big number, and it was to help them collect revenue effectively.
Yeah.
And what they've been doing, and I'll find more information on this, because at the moment I'll say allegedly, because I haven't researched it fully. Allegedly, they have data matching and going back and finding for people who have health insurance who were still listed as individuals rather than couples or families, they're data matching, and they're going back and they're issuing $3,000 to $5,000 fines. I wish they and one of our goals with the Freedom Machine and what Jason and I are doing in these education spaces is to try and create more people with a Kerry Packer mindset. Like him or hate him, whatever you think, he was probably the best businessman and the one that stood up for business the most in Australia probably ever. There's maybe a couple who are trying to do it now who we support as well. But the guy had Australia's best interest in charge. He was a businessman. He was all growth, and we need more of that mindset and need to minimise the amount that's going to waste. And it's not even about it going to the politicians. It's just going to unproductive sources.
Well, here's another unproductive source. Now, listen, I think it's lunacy that the government does first-home buyer grants and bits and pieces. I think it's lunacy, Andy. But I'm not one to shy away from taking advantage of it. I've encouraged all of my clients to do it as well. But check this out. This is something. So there's a government guarantee for buyers of homes. Now, it doesn't have to be a first-home buyer. You might not have owned a home for 10 years, or you can be a first-home buyer. Guess what, Andy? Guess this is the thing. This is the waste of money. This is one of the things I'm going to talk about next week. There's a little bit of a tidbit, right? The home guarantee scheme, right? And I was like, well, how do they guarantee? What are they guaranteeing? Well, it's not a physical security like a mortgage. Okay, fabulous. So they guarantee the purchaser. Read this. Check this out. The government guarantees essentially to cover a portion of the loan up to 15% if the borrower defaults. But hang on, whose money are they guaranteeing that with, Andy? Tell me, folks, whose money is the government guaranteeing this 15% with? Whose money?
Would it be Albanese's?
Well, it's not his. So they're saying, oh, we've got a housing problem. We'll tax you more, and then we'll give it to someone else to buy a house that probably they couldn't afford anyway. So they need, ours, exactly, Gabrielle. Like, that's. I'm like, how are they securing this? Because this is interesting. I want to know, because I've been in this game. Andy's been in this game. It's the taxpayers' money. They're going, oh, listen, take from the rich and give to the poor, or whatever you want to call it. It's lunacy. This is crazy, right? And everyone's going, oh yeah, that's great. Let's help people buy their home. I'm not against it, by the way. I'm not against it in any way, shape, or form.
No, because we can push housing prices even further up.
Yeah, it's good for me, right? Because I own a property. But listen, at the end of the day, I think that sort of stuff, folks. If and to be honest, Andy, I think sometimes we overvalue the politicians' actual average intelligence. I don't even think they think this stuff through on the other side of it. But anyway, there's
I certainly don't overestimate it. I can tell you that much.
I tell you what, it's a bit of a boon. But anyway, I'm going to dive into. I'm going to do a canary in the coal mine next week in Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, which is New Zealand. New Zealand's property market, canary in the coal mine. Andy was talking about millionaires leaving, the UK, the largest financial exit in the UK's history when it comes to their wealth. Australia as an attractive place to live because we've got a really great, safe society in comparison to the rest of the world. But if we tax it and we don't manage our society well, then people will leave here too. And Andy, myself, and Shay are traveling actually in September over to a conference called the Nomad Capitalist, which is we're learning about how you can manage your wealth by not only residing in one place in the world, but other places which are maybe more attractive when it comes to a certain amount of wealth at a certain level. So there you go.
How legally you can keep more of what you make. Ultimately,
Yep.
that's what we're
That's
looking
really
at.
what it is. Yep.
And
So
another little, if we're looking into the future, Jace, I'm just going to make this call. I can't remember whether I did it last week or not, but they're on the tax joint. They're smoking it up a storm, and I reckon, Jace, that if this 3 million in super that we talked about last week, I reckon if that comes through, they're coming for your principal place of residence next, because they'll open up a way of taxing unrealized capital gains, and it'll be a levy, it'll be a land tax, it'll be something like that. I reckon they're going to put a number on it about 5 mil. Right? I reckon that's probably what it is. And your value over 5 mil, you're going to pay some sort of tax on, or there will be something on it, because they're opening this up. And there's a reason why they're opening it up. Firstly, it's so they can get their grubby hands on the tax, even though they've been told that it's not going to be a productive spend. But also, it opens up the tax legislation to be able to do other shifty things with other assets that we have as Australians. And ultimately, team, what they did when they passed that law, they're taking your legal rights away. That's what they're doing. And I reckon this is a gateway drug to the principal place of residence. So just be forewarned and forearmed, so that, if these things come in, then you start to look at your strategy and you adjust your strategy.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to talk a little bit about strategy, Andy, maybe put that link up. Join Andy next week in one of these webinars where he talks about it. But here's the strategy. Scan that code, Freedom Machine. Andy will be hosting a couple of hours on how to strategize to navigate some of these challenges that we're talking about. But have a look at this, Andy. This is there is a number of. I talk about this all the time. One of the things about, let's say, if we unlock rental stock in Australia, if you as a government just got your heads out of your bums and said, all right, well, where's all the spare bedrooms? All right. We have got hundreds of thousands of spare bedrooms not being utilized in houses in Australia. Now, the reason a lot of people don't utilize these spare bedrooms for income is because if you create income from it, Andy, it affects your pension and it affects the capital gains tax of that house, right? Or the capital gains tax free portion of that house. Now, it would make sense. These houses exist today. Immediately, the government says, listen, if you're a retiree, there's probably heaps in social housing too. If you're et cetera, you provide a spare bedroom to the rental market right now. It won't affect your principal place of residence capital gains tax free on your house. Tomorrow, Andy, there would be millions of bedrooms and rentals available to the market tomorrow.
Yes.
With no impact, zero impact to the tax regime, but massive impact to the supply chain. Like, there are solutions right under people's noses, right under the politicians' noses. They don't want to entertain it. They're morons as far as I'm concerned. They're talking to the wrong people when it comes to solving this problem. Do you want to solve it? It's already solved. It's already there. The houses are built. The rooms are empty. Just make one decision saying, yep, okay, no problem. Tomorrow, done. Thanks, Jace. We'll move on. You can pay me the billions of dollars you're going to try to build 100,000 houses on, and I've sold it for you. Move on. We can get on with that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, anyway, it's crazy, but there's my solution, Jace, Andy.
You know what their solution is? It's the empty house tax.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly
it's
right.
true.
You know what we do? We're going to tax people for an empty bedroom so we can build houses. Like, for fuck's sake. Like,
well, you know that
like,
that's the thing. Hey,
that when
Jace,
you only got a hammer, everything's a nail. Eh? When the only tool you've got is a
just
hammer.
walking around Parliament going, what? Bang! Bang!
The
Bang!
fucking tax hammer.
Bang.
Actually, that's a good skit. We'll go the tax hammer. Anyway, there you go.
The tax hammer.
The tax hammer. Anyway, there you
mate,
go.
I can see here. I can see posts going up on your Facebook page as we speak of your lovely wife posting pictures of you talking with me. So I think we might save a few of the teach pieces. Ladies and gents, we this season we're going to spend more time educating as well. So not just awareness around the tax, and we love to get on a soapbox and talk about these things, and we think that you should be aware of them. But like we did in COVID, we're also going to start to bring some practical tools to you that you can start to use to navigate these things, or start to prepare yourself in a way that is productive, because we can't control them. That's for sure. They're uncontrollable. They are a law to themselves. But we can do our best to try and minimize the impact. And so we'll bring some teach pieces to educate you on what we have been teaching with our clients. Give you the opportunity to come along to some of the free stuff that we do as well, so we can educate you as well. Because ultimately, one of the things that Jason and I are very, very passionate about is educating business owners and investors around Australia, so we can help you on the journey, because you bust your ass to earn the coin. We want to see that more of that stays in your pocket and you can invest in a productive way that sees you ultimately with more for your lifetime of effort. And that's ultimately the reason that we're doing this. And we'll bring a hell of a lot more of that to you. As long as you keep listening, we'll keep talking and sharing everything that we possibly can with you, and try and keep these crazy people accountable, and see whether we can't get that roach out of their hands so they stop smoking the tax joint, and maybe pick up a different tool rather than a tax hammer, to start getting Australia forward, and ultimately being able to live in the great country that we are, as a great country, but not as a tax to the eyeballs country that sees us close to a third world nation.
Agree, mate. There you go. Well, folks, thanks for joining us again. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, episode 2, done and dusted this week, but been great to hang out with you, Fenton, as always. I'm stuck with one glass today. I've got to go out to dinner with my lovely wife in a minute, so that's why I'm taking it easy.
And it's a good one. I think we're onto a good thing. Neither of us was slurring, and so hopefully that was even better for you and the audience. So tonight, I guess
we made sense.
It's a good night from Jason Murdoch. And it's a good night from Kerry Fenton.
Kerry Fenton or Andy Packer? I think I like Andy Packer. Good night, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great weekend.
Good to see you. Join us again next week. Been awesome to have you here. Same bat channel. Yeah, that's it.
See you next week. Happy anniversary, mate. Enjoy.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth, Wine and Wisdom.
Make sure you like, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a thing, folks.
We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Debrief the week with Wealth, Wine and Wisdom.
Every Friday at 5 p.m. Victoria and New South Wales time. We know that Queensland, South Australia, WA have different time zones, as does Darwin, but we're sure that you can do the calculations depending on whether it's daylight savings or not.
You can also catch up on all the episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out the Positive Mentor podcast from our 6-star team at positivementor.com.au.